To do this real quick, I'll just use the magnetic lasso tool. I don't want this to be really accurate, but depending on how clean you want it to be, then you can do it as clean as possible and get closer and do more detail. But I'm just trying to do this real quick for you. So I'll just trace her. You can add a feather or whatever, you know, more to your liking or taste. So then we have that. Get inside of her arm, between her arm and her body. Then I'll create a mask. First, I need to remove the background layer. And then I create the mask. And there you have it. I have the woman cut out. Now, this is my background scene that I'm going to use. I chose it because you can see a clear distinction between the background and the foreground. So all I did was duplicate it a couple times. And at this distinct line here, I'll create a mask on one of the layers and have only the foreground remaining. Again, I'm not being super accurate, but even with as little as I'm being accurate, it would still look pretty good in the end. But any other time I was doing this, I would probably try a little harder to get as close as possible and use some feathering and other sorts of techniques to make sure, you know, I get as close as possible. But you'll get the idea from this video. So instead of using 2 layers with mask, I'll just keep the second one whole. So then make sure I save these 2 files. But first, I just fix her head a little bit because her head is cut out. She has a gash on the left side of her head. But anyway, yeah, go ahead and save. And then we'll open this up in After Effects. And for me, this is the fun part. Create a new composition, 1920 by 1080. I'll just do 10 seconds, 60 frames per second. It doesn't have to be that. You could probably do 30. And then I just right clicked and went to import and selected those Photoshop files. And when you add them to the composition, it's going to have some pre-comps for them so you can adjust the layers. It works better if you name these layers prior to importing them into After Effects. Well, I'll start with the foreground layer. And all I have to do is create a keyframe at the beginning for the scale and another keyframe at the end where I increase it so it's going to get closer. Then I'll do the same thing for position. And I'll bring it down at the last keyframe. Then for this mountain layer, I'll start it low, but then I just will scale it much larger. And that looks pretty good. Then I'll add in the woman. And I'm going to do the same thing. I'll just make her position change from where she is to lower on the screen. And that looks great right there. Then I could add a little more pizzazz to it probably. So I'll just make her drift off to the left, which actually looks like the camera moving to the right. And there you have it. Parallax photo effect. Subscribe, comment, share.